This is my new van. It's really not that new. As a matter of fact, I've had it for coming up on a year, but this is my personal van that I bought in 2020, and we're about to do a complete build out on it. This is going to be, I think, something special for you guys to follow. What we're starting here is a pro van build, and I think it's going to be kind of unlike anything else that's out there, especially on YouTube. This will not be a DIY build. We have done vans many times. We have a professional shop and a professional group of installers who have a lot of experience doing this. So I wanted to open up our shop to you guys and let you in to see how we do it. We're going to basically do a step-by-step process of all of the design and installation of this van build. So if you guys follow us on the journey, we're going to start and take you guys along basically from beginning to end and show you everything it takes to build a van the way the professionals do it. I just wanted to kind of start by leading in with what it takes to get your hands on a van, and then what are the first couple steps that you want to do in order to get the process rolling. I think it's handy to know the top 3 or 4 things that you're going to need in order to kind of get the van that you want when you're looking for one. For me, my qualifications were it had to be a 144 Sprinter. I've owned a 170 before, and I wanted this one to be a 144. Secondly, it had to be 4-wheel drive. I live in a place that 4-wheel drive comes in very handy. And the third thing was that it had to be a high roof Sprinter. As you can imagine, it makes a big difference if you can stand up inside. I put out some alerts on AutoTrader specifically for the things that were most important to me. I didn't really care about the color. I had hopes for some of the other specs that it would have, but once I saw that it met my top 3, I just basically went for it. The general strategy, if you are looking to acquire a Sprinter van, especially a 4x4 Sprinter, is that if you see it and you like it, you should buy it. As you guys may know, and we've talked about this in a previous video, it's quite difficult to get your hands on a Sprinter van right now, especially a 4x4. It was last year in 2020, around the end of August, where I was kind of ready to move to a 2020 van. At that time, they were also very hard to get, and I went about finding this van through AutoTrader. I called around to a bunch of the dealerships first, and nobody had a van for sale. So I put some AutoTrader alerts out that basically had, the type of van in general that I was looking for. So one day an alert came through, and I basically just immediately called the dealer and then jumped on a plane, flew down to Southern California, picked it up, got the payment in for it, and started bringing it home. The funny thing is, as soon as I got on the highway, the van had about 16 miles on it, and I turned onto the freeway, and immediately a rock jumped off of the road and smashed into my windshield. Not a big crack, but just kind of one of those things where, I had gotten so excited and got my new van and then immediately had some damage to it. So at least it was just a windshield. That's an easy thing to fix. If you're looking to actually spec out a van with everything that you want in it specifically and do that through a dealer, as far as I know right now, you're looking at maybe 9 months in order to get a van that's specified and built basically to your requirements. Most people would prefer not to wait that long, and one way to do it is just to buy what's available on the market. Another thing I would recommend is if you are looking for a van and you plan to finance it, then you should get pre-approved for the amount that you expect to spend on the van, so that when it comes available, you already have all the financing in place and you can just purchase it and don't have to deal with that. Because in the meantime, it is possible that another buyer could come along, and it is a seller's market right now, and you could lose it out to somebody who is pre-approved or is paying cash for the van. In terms of the design of this van, I think it's really important for a person to wrap their head around, what is the van for? What's the ideal day or the common situations that you're going to find yourself in that the van needs to be designed around those things. For me, this will be a van for 2 adults, and it should be able to handle weekend trips, of course, with all of our gear, but also comfortable enough to live in up to 2 weeks. So basically, we'll need to be able to sleep in it, cook in it, and then also like shower and clean up. So those are kind of the basic criteria that I'm building it around. The most typical type of trip that I'll do in this van, I would say, is probably a 2 to 3 day weekend trip. Activities would be like hiking, surfing, skiing, or just kind of like remote camping. And most importantly, there is a trip that my wife and I do every year. It's our anniversary trip, and we go up to the Lost Coast and basically take 4-wheel drive roads all along the coast and camp out in really super remote places. So that's another one of kind of the key things that I'm designing the van around. Kind of more aspirationally, I would love for this to be a van that I could take like on a Pan-American trip, you know, to drive from Alaska to Central or South America. Kind of in the back of my mind, I'm sort of designing that those features into it as well that would allow me to basically go into really rough terrain, to be small enough to kind of park anywhere that I am, but also kind of tough and able to withstand, you know, some pretty gnarly travel. Some other uses that I know the van will get is it will serve at some point as an evacuation van. I've been evacuated 3 times in the past 3 years due to fires. Each time it's been around 10 days to 2 weeks or sometimes longer that I had to be away from home. And each time we were able to sleep in our van. Another use that the van will typically get at some point during the year is a spare bedroom. So if we have visitors and we don't have enough bedrooms for everyone, we can pull the van up, and since it has a bed and a toilet and a heater and lights in it, it will serve as basically a 3rd bedroom for us. In terms of the build out, I just wanted to give you guys an idea of the time frame that I'm working with. So first of all, I purchased this van basically at the beginning of September in 2020 and is now mid-July 2021. I really didn't do anything on it for the first 4 months except just kind of look at it and take some measurements and start designing it. And then between kind of when I started it around the 1st of the year and now, I've really only put in maybe a few weeks worth of work. From this point forward, I think about 5 months is how long I anticipate this will take to finish out. I'm committed to doing it now, and I have space to do it and materials mostly in hand. So I'm really hoping to finish this by around the end of the year 2021. So in total, that will be about 15 months from the time I purchased it, which I think is realistic. I want to take you on a little tour of what we've done so far on this van. I really haven't spent that much time yet. Probably all this stuff that I've done so far could be done in a week. So you're not too far behind on catching up to where we are on the build. So let me just take you around and show you the few things we've added so far. One of the first things that I put on the van is really important to me is a roof rack. I just seem to use the roof rack all the time. And since it's kind of on the exterior and doesn't really interfere with anything else, we went ahead and put on a roof rack from the awesome guys at Flatline Vanco. It's an aluminum roof rack that is powder coated black, so it looks really cool on this van. And we've matched it with their ladder as well. You have options to put ladders in the back or on the side. I kind of like the side ladder. People often ask, like, does it like make noise when you're driving? Is there additional wind noise? Or have you ever like hit anything with it since it kind of extends out the side a little bit? My answer to both of those is no. I don't notice that it makes any noise at all when I'm driving it. Secondly, do you run into things with it? And I think while there's a chance of that happening, it only sticks off a few inches, and really it doesn't come any further out than the rear view mirror. Also, I have the flare space flares on here, and I think in a way the ladder kind of almost protects the larger flare. So I would hit something with the ladder before I would hit the flare, and that would be my preference. It would be much easier to change out the ladder than to put a new flare on. So speaking of that, these are the flare space flares. I already know in my build, since this is a 144, I'm gonna sleep sideways. That just gives us a few more feet, not really a few more feet actually, just several more inches when we're sleeping in this direction. So got the flare space flares and the CRL 1033 slider windows. I really like the look of the 144 van with the flares on it. So besides, you know, giving you extra space on the inside. I think it also just makes the van look really adventurous, and you can sort of tell from a distance if somebody has flares on the van that they're basically up for a good time, right? Okay, come on back. I've got lots of plans of what I'm gonna do on the back. For now, I have just added the Sherpa from Owl Vans. It's really lightweight and quite easy to install, so I put this on just so I can have a place to strap things as I'm kind of building out the van. But again, I've got other plans for more things back here. And around to the front. Probably the biggest job we've done so far is to put on the front bumper with winch and lights. I do things like more on the adventurous side. I like rough roads and remote places, so this is one of the things that I knew I was going to need. I definitely had vans stuck before in mud, in snow, and I just need a way to recover myself. So basically this bumper by CA Tuned, it accommodates a winch and light mounts, and it has some shackles on it for recovery. Really only took the guys about a day or a day and a half to do all this. It's definitely where I've spent the most money on the front end so far. And the only other thing I've added so far is the fairing to the front of the roof rack, and that comes from Colorado Fairing Company. I put that on because I often store surfboards and other things on my roof rack, and it really does help sort of deflect the wind and the bugs and keep things from wanting to blow away up there, and also a little bit cleaner than they would be otherwise. Here's where we are on the build. Just want to give you guys a quick tour and catch you up on the things I've done so far. Coming up on the next episode, we are going to be going through the design process where I'm going to sit down on my computer, get on SketchUp, and show you the interior layout that I'm going to do. It's a big deal if you're building your van to really figure out what's going on the inside and how everything is going to fit. So join us on the next video and we will go through that step by step. And I want to show you guys kind of what I'm thinking and why I'm choosing the things that I am. So look forward to seeing you guys next time.